Good afternoon. Anyway, I didn't realize at the date this case was filed in the Palmer, Alaska court system. Today is, what is today? Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. So this case has gone on for years, right? And I have no idea that when I enter this case, that is my legal name, right? And I've lived in Alaska since 1973. I'm 65 now. Well, when this case starts, I'm 55, right? And I have no idea that my husband is hiding his legal name. You know, he told me he had a legal name change back to Kevin Alfonsi. He lies, right? I don't know it, right? But I have an attorney. My attorney most certainly will verify that fact, right? No, he won't. Now, this case is filed, not legally, mind you, not legally. They don't even serve me divorce papers. It's filed saying it's filed on 10/6/2015. As soon as my mother dies, my husband will file for divorce because this is a staged out identity transfer, right? Full estate robbery, the whole thing, right? And they even ask I get life insurance later, right? And they're going to get me up to the age of 65. So my mom dies on June 23rd, 2015, right? Okay. And they list my name wrong in the obituary. And that was the first indication something wasn't going right. Now, when they first do it, they call me Kim L.G. Alfonsi. Then I start talking about the name Kim L.G. Alfonsi. That's not my legal name. My friends are calling me up, longtime friends, and they're saying, where's your family calling you Kim L.G. Alfonsi? I said, I have no idea. And they said, I saw that. And I was like, that is not her name. She is just Kim L.G. So for some reason, they hurry up and they change that obituary with the name Kim L.G. Alfonsi in it. And they hurry up and change it back. They changed the obituary to Kim Alfonsi. And I tell my friend, I go, yeah, something weird's going on because go look at the obituary now. And they said, what's going on? I said, I don't know. But they changed my name back to Kim. They have it as Kim Alfonsi. And they're like, that's not your legal name. And I'm like, I know. But I was estranged from the family. So I wasn't really interested in, if I never got served any kind of legal documents ever here in Alaska, right? Or anywhere, because this is where I live. I don't go on vacations. I never had enough money to go on vacation or anything when I was married to Kevin, because Kevin kept me financially deprived, right? We had the Alaska Birch Syrup Company, Williams Construction and Remodeling, and he would hoard the money and then dish it to me. Do you need money to buy groceries? Abuse. So I finally went and got a job at First Student in 2011. So at this time, too, I'm working at First Student, in 2015, right? And so that's what happened. So anyway, I live in Alaska, so I'm never, even to date, served any kind of probate documents, notification of death by the executor of the estate. Nothing, right? And I'm kind of like, okay. But my attorney, Ken Goldman, says he'll look into it for me, but he says he finds nothing. Oh, he found something, all right. He found a trust that was left to me, right? Okay. Well, I have no idea at this time, too. My family has created a false identification for me. And that's why my name is listed wrong in this obituary right here, right? And I'm like, okay. So I don't know what's going on for a long time, as they planned. But the divorce was staged around this. Mom dies on 6/23/2015. A divorce complaint is filed on 10/6/2015. They are correlating these two things together for a trust fund robbery, right? Okay, a trust robbery, because there's more than that. Okay, so then all of a sudden, we go through this 10-year divorce. They don't file any of these required documents in this case. Remember, my husband has filed suit in his non-legal name in Alaska. He doesn't want a divorce. He wants everything she left Kim. That's what he wants. So they don't file any tax returns. They don't file these required documents. Now, later on, they'll file a little bit in 2016. But when you file a divorce complaint, these are required to file the complaint. as well as proper service by certified restricted mail. You got to deliver the papers with legal process. They don't do any of that. But I don't know that. I don't know it at this time. I'm green as far as any kind of legalities go. I'm not anymore. So anyway, yeah, I have divine gifts. They will start downloading me and leading me to some crusty app crap that's happening in my life, right? Well, I have no idea. A false identity was created by my family for me for this particular fleecing, and they will call me Kim L.G. Alfonsi. Now, we got to see, does that say Kim L.G. Alfonsi? You thinking divorce is happening at the same time my mom's died? You think Kim L.G. Alfonsi would be listed up here? No, it's not. They know it's not. So my family, my brother's a CPA, right? Okay. And so they start creating a false identity for me in 2005. And I have no idea, right? So that's what happens. And he will even, we'll put this over here. He'll even record it in his Ancestry.com, right? Well, also, I go and I hire Ken Goldman, and this is the application. And it says the name Kim L.G., law office is Kenneth J. Goldman. What am I hiring for? I'm not hiring him for probate. I'm hiring him for a divorce in Alaska. And, and then I put down my physical address. It's not in California. No, it's in Wasilla, Alaska. And then I tell him I work at First Student in Alaska. And I have 2 rental AMCA, so I'm self-employed also. And so that's the thing. Who recommended him? My niece recommended him. Okay. And then I sign it, and it becomes client number 155175. Okay. So that's when I first meet my attorney that says he'll look into my probate case for me. No, he's going to help steal my trust fund is what he's going to do. Because he knows he is talking to him. And they're planning this thing together. So we'll get rid of that. Okay, and let's see. What else do I want to go to right now? Now, my brother, he knows what's going on, and they've created a false identity for me. So I don't have an Ancestry.com account. I don't. I don't. And as I can see now, they record fraud in Ancestry.com. That is not my legal name. So you can clearly see my name has been Kim L.G., and I have lived at that address since 2008. 2150 South Endeavor Street is my legal address. I have never left the state. I am not a snowbird. I do not travel back and forth from anywhere. This is where I live to date, at that address, and have since 2008, which used to be my gift shop. I have used it as a home since 2008. That's very important, right? So I've got a stolen identity. My legal name is that right there. They will change it to steal inheritance and eliminate me, basically. They're going to do a whole identity swap. That's what they're going to do, okay? So that's what happens. So my name gets falsified beginning in 2005. They're preparing for when my mother dies, and then they will list my name wrong in the obituary, which they do. And I have no idea these scumbags are planning this estate robbery, right? And I thought I was disinherited, and I was all fine with that. But you can't do that to the scapegoat, can you? No, you can't. So now my husband files suit in his non-legal name, right? And he's hiding. He's hiding things, right? He's hiding his legal name, of course. And he is hiding, he has a California jurisdiction. So anyway, that's what he does. He's been a resident of California since 2013. Because when he refreshes his LLC paperwork for this business right here that he owns in California, he's not telling the Alaska court system that. So he's been, according to his LLC paperwork, a resident of California since 2013. So why is he filing for divorce in his non-legal name against Kim L.G. in Alaska? right? And his jurisdiction is never brought up for our divorce case, for our son's guardianship case, for our child's custody case. Because remember, my son, we don't get to have a happy life because they just like to make me suffer. That's their family's whole thing. So we get to go through a fake divorce for 10 years with a man using his non-legal name, hiding his California jurisdiction. Okay? So that's what I get to do. And they will issue me a decree in that non-legal name, right? And I go to Vital Records and they tell me, your husband didn't file suit in his legal name. You're not really divorced. Why the hell would he do that? Because he didn't want a legal divorce. That's why. So anyway, that's the company information. Well, I have no idea that when they showed up at my mom's probate case, what were they doing? They stole a trust fund. Remember, this is my attorney. He will later sue me for his legal fees for representing me in a case where he doesn't verify my husband's legal name or his California jurisdiction. And he helps my husband obtain my trust fund with fraudulent identification for me. And they will begin to build that trust fund, and they'll do executions on it and the whole thing. I don't know this is going on. He sues me for his legal fees. I even tell the court in this case. I tell him, the judge in this case, I can't get a legal divorce decree. I need a divorce decree so I can get a certificate of divorce. I'm denied. This judge is kind of like, well, I don't care. All I know is Ken Goldman worked for you. And you got to pay him for that time he worked for you. He didn't even verify my husband's legal name or his California jurisdiction. Doesn't matter. He wins the lawsuit. He's awarded the judgment. Okay, well, I have no idea. The case gets closed, and he goes in right behind me, and he starts what? He's executing on a stolen trust fund I have never seen a dime of to this day. Okay? That's what he does. There's receipts, right? The whole thing, right? There's receipts, right? Well, I don't know my identity's been stolen, changed, but he knows it even at this date. He knows they've changed my identity to Kim L.G. Alfonsi. I have no idea. And it was all to steal a trust fund, right? A trust. There's more than a fund. So anyway, that's it. Okay, so, I'm still in this case. I'm still in this case. It's just ridiculous. But the whole time I'm in court, what can they do? They can build that trust is what they can do. So I have no idea that I have a stolen trust fund. So, yeah, that decree is not issued in his legal name, and he will deny his legal name. He'll say Kevin Alfonsi LG is not my legal name. It is not my legal name. And I'm like, no, I know it is, and but he will lie about that all the way through court. And all of a sudden, this is what he was, there's where he was, right? So he was saying on the other paperwork, his business has been running it's since 2013. Well, he's updating his LLC paperwork in 2019. I have no idea that when they stole my identity, they had me living at this address. And that's where they delivered my mother's probate documents to. I'm in Alaska. I've never been to 5420 Dixon West, Dixon, California. I've never been there. But these are friends of his that he'll collude with. Yeah. And all these rumors are going round about me, that I have a mental health disability, that I'm crazy, and I have venereal disease. I am 8 years celibate, so I've never been promiscuous in my life. Yeah, it is kind of a family trait, but I never did get that trait. Yeah, so when you're seeing this comes from the same paperwork that was sent to me from California, right? So he's saying he's been a resident since 2013. So why is he filing for divorce in Alaska in his non-legal name, right? And for 10 years, my attorney, everybody will lie about his legal name. right? They'll say, it's just Kevin Alfonsi. And I'm like, no, it's Kevin Alfonsi Elgie. And they're like, no, it's not. His name's just Kevin Alfonsi, right? That's it, you know? So I get lied to for 10 years about his legal name, okay? So we know he's a California resident. And he takes off in 2023. And I'm told all the time I'm not doing visitation with my son, with his father. Well, I can't do it if his dad comes and goes from Alaska all the time, but he's keeping that quiet. He's keeping it a secret. Then he'll walk right into court and he'll tell the judge, she's not doing visitation. But why doesn't he tell the judge? Well, she can't really, because, I'm a California resident and I've hit it all the way through the Alaska court system as well as my legal name. And I get punished for not doing visitation, right? Yeah, so that's what's going on. So the name, where does the name come from? Okay, so we know he's lied about his name, the whole thing. They're hiding his legal name and they're falsifying my identification. This is my real identification and this is where I live, okay? And I have no idea. My identity's been stolen and they will deem that identity later so Kevin can have full control of the trust. They're going to deem that false identity as having a mental disability. She's got venereal disease. She gets around. She takes lots of drugs. She's a really bad girl. Yeah. And then that gets recorded. My brother's like, ha, 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 ha. We stole the trust fund, and now I'm going to record the false name we recorded for her in my Ancestry.com, right? Now I've got cousins coming out of the woodwork, and everybody's watching the S-Storm. My niece, Cindy, knows, and it's one of the reasons I walked away from the family. Psychiatrist and doctor told me to. Aunt Kim does not like the drama, and that is true. I do not like drama, and if you bring me to the drama show, I'm going to give you one hell of a show, because I'm notoriously known for not liking the drama. So if you want some drama, baby, bring it my way, because I avoid it at all costs. I don't like it, right? And so, but that's why my name was falsified in here. And now we're in a major S-storm, right? We're in a major S-storm. And we're at the true court docket. Okay, so now Kevin's name. Well, they've been lying about his name for over the last 10 years, right? And they say his name is just Kevin Alfonsi. And he tells me he's had a legal name change before he files for divorce. And Ken Goldman is my attorney, and before he files for divorce, Kevin tells me he has had a legal name change back to Kevin Alfonsi from Kevin Alfonsi Elgie. My attorney, Ken Goldman, he's going to verify that fact, isn't he? No, he doesn't. He doesn't verify he's a California resident. He doesn't verify jurisdiction or his legal name. He purposely puts me in a lawsuit with a con man, right? Because what's he getting part of? He's getting part of that stolen trust fund is what he's getting part of. Everybody gets a piece but Kim, right? The owner of it. The owner of it. So now we're several years later. This is in 2015. Divorce is still going on. But they're trying to abduct me and make me go away. I do not talk to Kevin. I have no lusty tendencies towards Kevin. I can't stand Kevin. So since the day he moves out in 2015, there's been no contact with us. Although he's pretending we're still married in California and happily married, except I'm a little crazy in California. That's where they serve my mother's probate documents to. Kim Elgie Alfonsi and Kevin Alfonsi Elgie in California, right? I don't know this, and I can't stand that man, so no. And then they'll try to build, oh yeah, no, they were seeing each other. No, they weren't seeing each other. She can't stand him, okay? So anyway, gives me the creeps. So anyway, I tell this officer later on, they've stolen my trust fund with fraudulent identification. It's showing up in the court docket with receipts and everything. And he writes back and he divulges a secret they've been hiding for the last 10 years. Attorneys have been lying. My attorney and all of Kevin's 4 attorneys, they've all been lying about his legal name and why he filed divorce in Alaska using a non-legal name when he's a California resident, right? Okay, so he writes, "Good afternoon, Kim. I turn him in proof of a trust fund robbery on June 4th, 2025. Good afternoon, Kim. I was asked to assist Officer Jeber with going through all the documentation you have provided. I have gone through all the documents carefully. I have not identified anything that would be able to be charged under Alaska statutes. I understand that there are many discrepancies in which name he has used on multiple documents, but with his hyphenated name, this is right now, this officer just blew their cover. He had a hyphenated name. His attorney lied about it. He did an affidavit saying he did not have a hyphenated name. But with his hyphenated name and his using one of the names, none of those would meet the criminal level. As a woman, I could never do this. I'll tell you that. I could never do it. They would never let me do this. But he's a man, and it's Alaska. I know there are lots of other items you post, you point out in the documentation. I have looked at them all. Unfortunately, we will be unable to assist with any criminal investigation in this situation. I do encourage you to get a trusted lawyer and have them assist with the civil side for all of the monetary loss you have incurred. I am sorry, I'm sure that's not what you wanted to receive, and I wish you the best of luck in your pursuit of a fair outcome. I had a trusted lawyer, as we all saw. It was Ken Goldman. He helped steal my trust fund. That's what he did. So anyway, and I go on to tell him, this is an identity fraud case. Okay, we're going to get right to that. So you got to imagine, I'm going through this divorce for 10 years. Is it really a divorce? Because he didn't file suit in his legal name and hit his jurisdiction. So what do we have? We find out we're in an identity transfer. They're not just stealing a trust fund. They're stealing my identity, right? They're going to make me Kim L.G. Alfonsi, and they only have one thing to do, and that's get rid of the real Kim L.G. in Alaska and replace her totally with Kim L.G. Alfonsi in California. Well, that's mentally incompetent now, living in an institution, right? So we got that. So, okay. So we got my false identity created for me. That's even recorded at Ancestry.com. And we got my driver's license there. And people are like, why'd you show it? And I said, attorneys already stole it. So what does it matter at this point? They trashed my identification in their profession. They did it. They trashed it. So, so we know the case number. Let's see, there's so many documents up here. Yeah, I tell him, I turned in the trust fund robbery last year, and this is him. This is the real email that he had sent me about. He has a hyphenated name. There are many discrepancies in which name he is used on multiple documents, but with his hyphenated name. And like I said, they blew it. But they weren't just stealing his identity, they were stealing mine. So I immediately write him back on June 4th, 2025, and I say, hey, man, I said, this is from Kim L.G. Notice, not Kim L.G. Alfonsi. I've never been Kim L.G. Alfonsi. I've never been Kim Alfonsi in my life. I said, it's an identity fraud case the trust happens to be a part of. This is what truly needs to be reported is identity theft and fraud. And I have given you documents of proof. That is why they will not serve any writs by registered process server or by certified restricted mail. That's why they didn't even serve divorce papers as required with the complaint by legal service. Okay. And so anyway, and then I send that, so I send that to him. He never responds back to me. He doesn't say, what do you mean? I'm 65. I'm reaching out for help, and now we find out, yeah, he really did have a hyphenated name. I got Vital Records was right. Vital Records told me you don't have a legal divorce. You can't have a certificate of divorce. You have to have a decree issued in that man's legal name, Kevin Alfonsi L.G. You have to, or you're not legally divorced. And I'm refused to get that legal document in court for 10 years. I don't know why. Why won't they do it, right? Because I don't know I'm in a whole identity transfer, right? I don't know that. So then, all of a sudden, trying to find my other one. We know a false identity's been created for me. Where are you? I need to do the other presentation. So we know that's the court case number right there. And it's just not, it's not even like an existing court case, right? Because it's all fraud. So all of a sudden, they say I owe a judgment in this court case, but they'll never serve me writs by legal process. Not once. In this whole case, if you see a writ and it was it's not. I was never served. Because why? If they already had a false identity for me, they couldn't serve me in Alaska because I don't exist anymore. My family stole and changed my identification for inheritance theft. So if you look in here and if you see a writ, any writ, including divorce papers, I was never served legally by legal process, right? And I'm just kind of like, you know, and I don't know much about writs. My friend Dave comes on and he's like, Kim, she's not serving you by legal process. She has to send you by certified restricted mail or registered process service for writs to take property. I have no idea. They've stolen pension from me at this time. They've embezzled 2 businesses. They never submitted tax returns. So we never got the proper amount of child support. It was just to fleece me. Steal as much property beforehand, before the abduction, right? Because you're looking at a guardianship abduction. I have no idea. They have gone back to court with the false identity they created for me, and they have deemed it mentally incompetent. Kim L.G. Alfonsi, they've deemed her mentally incompetent, and they did that in 2022. So I don't know, and there's all these rumors going around this small town that I live in that, you know, like I said, like I've got a venereal disease, a really bad mental health condition, you know, I need somebody to manage my trust fund, you know, and my entire estate, because I'm just BS crazy. You know, I'm not the one coming up with false names for me. I'm not the one that's recording the false name in Ancestry.com. It says found in George L.G.'s family tree. It's not, I don't have an Ancestry.com, and I'll never, because of this fraud. Right there. That is not my name. That is fraud. My brother inserted into Ancestry.com. And he's got it now with other people, you know, their family trees. And they all got fraud in their family tree, because I am clearly Kim L.G. Now, my cousins, some of them, they won't participate in the game. They won't do it. They just have me as Kim L.G. in their family trees. And that's the correct name. Yeah. So, okay, we're going along. It's a 10-year divorce. I have no idea. They're doing everything a total transfer. All company assets, all business assets, everything's slowly getting transferred over to Kevin, or in possession of attorney that has a false guardianship and conservatorship over me in that fraudulent name. I don't know. I have a false identity that was created for me to eliminate me from the earth. But I got some supernatural gifts. They are supernatural. They'll body jump for my ass. Yeah. That's scary crap. That's divine love right there. I'm going to body jump for you. So the first time it happens, my mother comes through, actually, who was participating in this, but she got on the other side, talks to the God, and he says, don't do this to her. She doesn't deserve this. Go back and correct crap. So Mom comes into court. She downloads me that they're embezzling businesses. She says, what does she say? Yeah. Excuse me, Your Honor, I have a question to ask. And that is her. That is not me. And he goes, yeah. It was Judge Heath, and he was like, yes, Miss L.G. And she goes, I've looked through all this discovery, and I don't see one birch syrup figure in all of this. Where is it, boys? because they were embezzling all the assets of the Birch Syrup Company. Well, I don't know. I just been sitting on the stand and all of a sudden get downloaded. Not only downloaded, she starts talking through me. Yep, they were embezzling business assets. We find out years later they didn't even submit tax returns. Then she goes and she body jumps. This is what's cool about they work for me, man. They love me. The body jumps into one of my friends and she takes over and she leads me to a storage unit. And it shows my husband recording my premarital land, and she's like, my friend is just like, you got to go there. And she comes through and she starts sounding like my mom. And I'm like, oh my God, she is sounding like my mother. And she leads me to this storage unit and she's all bossy, and she's going to get her way and the whole thing. And I'm like, oh my God, Kim, you're talking to your mom right now. And she goes, you need to go there. You need to do it now. And she's just forceful. So I go to this storage unit. We open up Kevin has just jumped on a plane, dropped these boxes off at the storage facility. He's jumped on a plane. My friend starts acting like my mom. She won't leave me alone till I go to the storage facility. I go to the storage facility, and right up front are 2 boxes marked Delphine LG. Remember, she's acted like my mom. And she goes, and my friend turns to me and she goes, you need to take these home and you need to look at them. And then later my friend's going, I don't know what happened to me. I don't know why I talk to you like that. And I'm like, well, I do now, because the Lord works in mysterious ways is what I'm telling you. So anyway, yeah, that's come through a lot. So I have no idea that my identity's been stolen. The trust has been stolen from me. This went back to 2005. And I'm still with the family talking to them when they're creating a fraudulent identification for me, right? And I have no idea. So now we go on, and it's 10 years later. Now, they've transferred over pretty much all the businesses. They've transferred over all the pension amount, but a little bit. They've stole the pension in his legal name. Remember, he's hiding the name. Kevin Alfonsi LG all the way through the court, as the officer said. He has a hyphenated name. And Kevin hid that fact all the way through court, right? And so, and he'd deny in affidavits and in everything that was his legal name. He'd say, no, it's not. It's not my legal name. He says, I've never used the name Kevin Alfonsi LG or Kevin LG on anything legal. I have not done that, right? And there's just all kinds of documents with that name on it. So why is he lying, right? There it is on a W-2, in 2014. Why is he lying, right? And I have no idea that, they've stolen my identity. He's hiding his identity, and they have me living in California with him as still happily married. I have no idea. This has gone on. He's flying to California all the time, and that name is legal name on his driver's license, a name he will deny he has. He's got airplane tickets in that name, so we don't know why he's hiding his legal name. And then Vital Records tells me, his legal name is Kevin Alfonsi LG, and he didn't file for divorce against you in that legal name. You do not have a legal divorce until the court issues you a decree in that name. You are still married to him, and they're forcing me with coercive control to be married to him still. Why? And they'll do it also known as Kevin Alfonsi LG when it's not. It should be, the decree should say Kevin Alfonsi LG, also known as Kevin Alfonsi. And they won't do that because they want me still married to him, because the trust fund, he's got that name on my stolen trust fund, right? And I have no idea. So here in clear 2021, that's his legal name, and his attorney will lie to me and tell me it's not. But we saw the Wasilla Police Department said, no, it is his legal name. Kevin Alfonsi LG is his legal name, and they do that on, they're the ones, that say he has a hyphenated name, right there. Right there. So they're the ones that prove it. So attorneys have lied to me for the last 10 years. And he's hid this name before court and after court, and I have no idea. He's a California resident. They're going to drag me and a special needs child through years of hell. Now, why he gets to play around and do dual residencies, and I'm a California resident, I'm Alaska resident, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what name I'm going to use today because, as the officer said, I can switch my names in and out. I'm a consistent parent. I've been taking care of our special needs son this whole time, since his birth to the age of 23. I'm consistent, normal. I will be defamed in court. They don't like my videos. Well, who cares? I don't like somebody stealing my trust, my identification, and then trying to kidnap me from my home. That's what I don't like. Now, that sounds pretty damn sane to me, but not to them, because, they got an agenda. So then all of a sudden, this past year, I figure out what's going on, right? Okay. And this attorney starts trying to send a writ to me to take property, right? They say I owe a judgment, but they'll never record the judgment in the court docket. Remember, he's filed suit in his non-legal name, hiding his California jurisdiction. Do you think that's why they will never record that writ in the court docket? Do you think that? I think that is. Yeah, I think there's a great deal to do with that. So this attorney starts serving this writ, but she'll only do it by email, right? And it gets rejected by the court numerous times. So let's go look at the real docket, see if it's changed. Whoop, it looks like they kicked me out, right? Did they kick me out? It looks like they did. So we're going to have to go in there. And Kevin made up things. Remember, they got to create the ID. He even tells them that I had officers at my house all the time with my first marriage. I never had them once. And that I'm a violent person and all this. And he's really depicted a horrible character. Well, I have no idea they created a false identity for me. And he said, police officers were at her first marriage all the time because she's such a violent person. They were never there. Why is he saying that? Okay, so right there. Oh, that's Kenneth J. Goldman's case, yeah, where he does the trust writs of execution and trust writs of garnishment. We'll take a look at that for right there. Yeah, that lawsuit case right there. So I got in the wrong lawsuit case. Okay, so we'll go into, those are my son's guardianship cases. This is the divorce case. So anyway, this attorney here that's still on record, right? She ain't going anywhere because they're doing an estate robbery. And I'm just sitting here like a target, right? She thinks she just filed something, and I'm just like, yeah, you didn't file anything. The court isn't even recording it in the court docket. So that's the case where he files suit in his non-legal name, hiding his California jurisdiction, denies his hyphenated name that the officers say, no, he's got a hyphenated name. He's got a hyphenated name. Well, he doesn't up here, and he doesn't on purpose because he's hiding that name all the way through the court system. So they say they served writs. Any writs that you'll see were never served by certified restricted mail or registered process server. That was done on purpose because there's a false identity for me created, right? I don't realize they could never serve me any writs by legal process because they had already done a false identity. So we're going to go see how long ass this docket is. It goes for 10. My kid grew up in this. That's what really pisses me off, is my child grew up in this fraud, right? And instead of us just having a normal, life and everything, they went out of their way to hurt us, right? They went out of their way to hurt us and steal from me, right? Now, they say I have a judgment, but they won't. That's not who. Judgment for who? Judgment to where? Who's the judgment for? It won't say, right? So they'll never record it in the court docket, right? So they won't serve writs by legal process. They won't record a judgment in the court docket. And there's something shady going on. Because they say if you want to know if you have a judgment, you can go to Alaska Court View, right? The digital court record, and it will show if you have a judgment or not. This is the digital court record. And no, it doesn't even say, is there a judgment? There's a word there that says judgment. Does it say, normal judgment would say 2, 4, how much? They don't do that. Why? That's like requirement. They even say they record them in here on the digital court record so people can't mess with them. Like if there was a corrupt system, they couldn't manipulate it, right? Later to say something else. That's why you have a hard copy on your digital court record. They say, yeah, no, there is one, and it's in their docket, but they're not going to put it on the digital court record. Well, if they would have, when I sold property to the state, because they bought some frontage too, and to the Connect Tire and Auto, they would have immediately got their judgment money if they would have simply done their job and put it on the court docket. Yeah. They make it my fault. They're always making it my fault. Their job they won't do is my fault. So anyway, then they do another one in December. They amended judgment. They still go out of their way not to record a hard judgment on the court docket, right? They still go out of their way not to do it, right? Okay. We don't know why. Well, I know why, but so I'm going to go down here. Now, all of a sudden, see, this is when attorneys go back to the probate court case, and with the fraudulent identity, they will deem her mentally incompetent. So now an attorney has a false guardianship and conservatorship over me in a fraudulent name. I don't know it. So she can do all kinds of writs and answer the writs herself, right? So anyway, I don't see any of these writs. None of these writs are ever served to me in 2022. I don't know they even exist because I'm not getting served by legal process, right? So I don't even know these writs exist or anything. Okay, so now we're going to go down and we're going to, you're seeing a guardianship, fake guardianship, trafficking. This is a trafficking case, basically, is what it is. So then all of a sudden, this right here, this is a trust writ of garnishment. This isn't first of all, I stopped working in 2022 because I was getting gang stalked at work. So we know it's not a wage garnishment disbursement. We know it's not. Right? Okay. So if I'm not working, how can you be garnishing wages? You know what I mean? That's just all there is to it. So anyway, all of a sudden, this attorney starts trying to take away my property. Because remember, they've stolen my identity. They've stolen a trust fund. There's a false guardianship and conservatorship on me I know nothing about. And so all of a sudden, this attorney emails me this writ. I'm in the store with my child, and we're shopping. It's Christmas time. And all of a sudden, this writ gets emailed to me on December 6, 2024. Right? And I'm just kind of like, what's going on? And so anyway, she says, well, you owe a judgment. That's judgment that she'll never record in the court docket, or the judge won't record in the court docket. They say, owe a judgment. Then they amended it. And then they say it's for $35,536. Okay, we got that. Okay, and then she's putting the case number. We saw the case number. That's how you can legally read it, right? Because you can't read her handwriting. But that's what it says right there. Okay, so, and remember, Kevin is hiding his full legal name in his California jurisdiction. And the officer hasn't written me to divulge that until several months later, that they're lying. He does have a hyphenated name. So, he's not putting his legal name. He's been hiding. He's a California resident the whole time. So, and they force it because we're back in Salem, ladies. We're back in Salem. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter if you're good. They're gonna lie, about you and hurt you. It's all about hurting you. So right there, Kevin Alfonsi, and he puts down the law firm's address because what can't Kevin do? He's hiding. He's a California resident. He certainly can't put down his address. No, because they've been hiding that all the way through court since 2015, right? So he's going to put down Amanda Lancaster's attorney firm's address That's what he's going to do. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. So name of creditor and his address. That's not his. You're lying right here about his address. So she can't do it because she has me under her custody with a false guardianship and conservatorship already. And he's hiding his legal name from court in his California jurisdiction. So then all of a sudden, she serves this writ. I post the writ. My friend Dave comes on, and he says, hey, Kim, she can't serve you a writ by email, and she has to serve you by registered process server or by certified restricted mail. I mean, yeah. So anyway, she's saying description of property that she's going to take for her $35,000 judgment. Remember, my identity's been stolen. They have me living somewhere else, right? And they originally had me living in California with Kevin in his legal name, changed my name to Kim LG Alfonsi. Kevin Alfonsi LG are living in California together. Then there's Kim LG in Alaska and Kevin Alfonsi that are getting a divorce in Alaska. Kim has to pay Kevin an equalization judgment. Yeah. Why he embezzles all businesses and pension money and the whole thing, right? So anyway, she serves me this writ, and she says it's not my primary residence. Well, of course, I'm living in California, or was. Not my primary residence, and outside of exemptions. And then she says there's 2 rental cabs. All this that she wants, all this property here, is on track G2, 2150 South Endeavor Street. And she says, no exemptions for this property, no exception. Your home always has an exemption. It's $89,000, right? And then it gets appraised, goes to auction. She gets her $35,000, goes away, right? She goes away. And then I would get the rest of the $500,000 assessed valued property, right? She doesn't plan on that because she has a false guardianship and conservatorship on me. Okay. So I keep getting led back to this, right? And the court kicks it out. Remember, she's filing this the first time. She's filing it on September 24th, 2024, right? So you go over here to the court docket and you look. Well, they tell her, they recorded on 9/27 this document here, right here. They record it. They say, yeah, your writ sucks. Accounting deficiency notice. You have requested an order to debtor regarding property subject to value limits. Before this can be served, you must file a civil 535 creditor's affidavit and request, as well as this order and civil 515 claim of exemption and civil 550 service instructions. The debtor's packet must be served by process server or by certified restricted delivery mail. And please read the instructions. She's a professional attorney. She knows exactly what she's doing. The debtor must be served before this order can be issued. The debtor will get a chance to respond. She doesn't want me responding. She wants somebody to come up and kidnap my ass. That's what she wants, and she plans. And she's already got me in her custody with a false guardianship and conservatorship. And God keeps leading me back, and he's saying, you're not seeing something. What is it that you're not seeing? You've got your 2 cabin rentals on here. You've got the vehicles on here. You've got the hot tub on here. What aren't you seeing? A home. You're not seeing you live here with William. And I'm just like, oh my God. And he's like, yeah, and your home always has exemptions. She can't serve you a writ because she has you under her custody already. So she can't serve you crap. And she couldn't serve you crap she could never serve you anything. Go look. Your divorce papers were never served. They've never served you anything by certified restricted mail or registered process server, because they have a false identity for you that started off living in California before they deemed it mentally incompetent. That's why they could serve you nothing ever in this whole case. And that's why Kevin filed suit in his non-legal name. So I notice track G2. She's saying my home is a raw tract of land. No exemption for this property, no exception. Like I said, your home always has an exemption. I realize, oh my God, they've stolen my identification. That's why my brother has me. That's why my mom has me wrong in the obituary. That's why they created the identity, Kim L.G. Alfonsi. I'm like, oh my God. You know, but I don't really I don't really comprehend it till February. Now, she does that. The court rejects it the first time here. Okay, we're at the court system right now. Okay, then, yeah, I motioned to stop stealing the trust fund money because I'm getting clues of it. She doesn't reply and say I'm lying. She doesn't do. She knows I know now. Oh, so the enemy's really on my ass, right? I'll say it to your face. I'll put it in writing. It's proven. So then she gets another one because she knows she can't serve me by illegal price. She can't. Not if I'm in her custody already and she's got me living somewhere else. She cannot serve me. There's the fraudulent Kim L.G. Alfonsi, and there's the real Kim L.G. Okay. She gets another one on 130. She gets another one. 1/30/2025, accounting deficiency notice. You have filed paperwork for the issuance of paperwork for execution of property with value limitations. We are missing some paperwork before we can issue this. We are missing page 1 of the creditor's affidavit, request civil 535, and the incorrect process server instructions were filed for paperwork. So they're telling her she filed incorrect paperwork, and that will need to be filed on the debtor, and the process server instructions that were filed was for the writ only. So they're telling her you're not doing it right, and they're doing it again. She is a professional graduated attorney, and she can't serve writ by legal process for 7 months. Yeah, because she's already got a false identity on me. She can't serve me if she has me already. So I tell them improper service of all past court writs. I've never been served any writs. Any writs you're showing in the court docket, I've never got them in this case, right? I haven't gotten any of them. And notice of improper service of all past writs. Notice of legal mailing address of defendant Kim L.G., because I'm getting freaked out because she won't serve me by legal process. Notice of legal name, and that I send them notice of physical address for defendant Kim L.G., right? And they like to cut out on this. And I send them a notice of my physical address because I notice she's not recognizing I live here at 2150 South Endeavor Street. So I say notice of physical address of Kim L.G., and I send it to the court system. They get it, but they won't record that one. And then I say notice of legal name of defendant is Kim Lorraine L.G., you know, because I figure out, you know, is around. And then demand for the trust fund to be handed over to Kim Lorraine L.G. because I finally figure it out. You know, they've got a fraudulent name for me. And then she starts doing it. She just ignores it, that she's not serving me legally. Now she keeps sending me by email the writ. She won't do it by legal process. And then she puts notice of debtor and notice of claim of exemption rights. Remember, she has a false guardianship and conservatorship on me, so she can actually fill out this paperwork for me. And then it said claim of exemption lodged. I never did this. You know, and I see this and I'm like, okay, now she's got a false guardianship and conservatorship. She can start filling paperwork out for me now and submitting it to court. Yeah, this is BS. And I'm like, motion to dismiss, you know, because I told him the case has already gone through the Supreme Court under Kevin Alfonsi, his non-legal name, versus Kim L.G. Judge Heath would never record a judgment against me, and this case needs to be dismissed, you know, but they won't do it. And then I tell the police, hey, my husband's filed suit in his non-legal name hiding his California jurisdiction. And this is before they send this to me, right? So the officer, which thank you, goes in and says, accounting deficiency notice, because I'm telling him my husband's hid his legal name from court in his California jurisdiction. And he goes in and he records the courts, he sends the court system and says, we can't serve her any writs. 3/19/2025, accounting deficiency notice. We are returning your writs of assistance. There is no authority. Yeah, because he's a California resident and he's hiding his legal name. There is no authority to issue a writ of assistance at this time in this case. And then notice of termination of writ of execution. They terminate it. 4/14/2025. Collection has been stayed by order April 14th until further order. The case needs dismissed. This is a frigging senior citizen abduction case. And then I tell them basically right here in this, I'm being trafficked. Help, stop, stop, stop. And then I put notice, no divorce papers were ever served. And I give them a notice on 4/24/2025. And full return of writs of execution, and then they take them, out. Full return of writs of execution. And then I say, notice to the clerk of the court to dismiss the case due to fraud and administrative noncompliance. They didn't even serve me divorce papers. Then... And I tell him this divorce case had final judgment way back in 2018. I shouldn't be being rejudged when a case went through the Supreme Court. You shouldn't be dragging me back to Superior Court and trying to give me a judgment and stuff after the case went through the Supreme Court, but I don't realize this is a whole identity theft, and stuff. And so anyway, Amanda Lancaster just filed stuff last week, but she wouldn't sign it, which I thought was really weird. So anyway, I'm just kind of like, oh my God, I figure out, we'll go out of the court case. That is the court case still open. They're still filing crap. She just filed something the other day, but they haven't recorded it yet. And she sent it to me, through the email, but I'm looking for it to get recorded in here, and it's not recorded yet. So even as an error sent, she didn't sign it. She sent an unsigned affidavit for Kevin. Well, they should even be putting in here, you submitted crap to court, an unsigned affidavit, and we're returning it to you. So all of a sudden I realize they don't have me living in Alaska. Or at this address of 2150 at South and Dever Street. That's why they've decided it's a tract of land. And I run to DMV and I say, hey, I know you guys got my P.O. box on here at DMV. I need you to put my physical location because there's this attorney that's got a fraudulent conservatorship and guardianship on me and has me living somewhere else. And I need you to put my physical location on here. And she goes, well, that's okay. We can do that because we have you. She just said we have both addresses in our system. So if you want your, physical address to show, we can do that. And I said, yeah, no, I think it's very important that it show now. Somebody, why are you showing that? And I said, because they stolen my identity already. Attorneys have done this already. What matter if my social security number's next? I don't care anymore. They've stolen my identity. I need a new name. I need a new social security number. I need the whole thing because of these crusty ass bastards. So all of a sudden, this is my mailing address. And you can tell the date I figure out they've stolen my identity and got a false guardianship and conservatorship on me. And I run to DMV and I say, yeah, I know my license isn't expired yet, but that is my mailing address. I said, please put down my physical address because they're not acknowledging I live here. And I even turn it in as an exhibit. They don't care. They're coming to get me, and I have no idea. Yeah, it's because they changed my name to that. And that's why Amanda Lancaster, for all those months, you got a professional attorney. She can't serve me a writ by legal process. Yeah, because she can't serve me anything because she has her in her custody already with a false guardianship and conservatorship, managing her stolen trust fund, and next she planned on managing her full estate, as proven by this writ that she could never serve. A professional attorney could not serve a writ for 7 months, and most of all, she could not document I lived here. And she could only document it was a tract of land. What's bad is you've got a special needs protective man involved in this. So when they came to abduct me, to replace me with the identity that my brother created for me, what were they going to do with a special needs adult man who grew up in this fraud due to this man? Due to that man. They hated me. I was born. I had nothing to do with mom and dad screwing, baby. You know, I have nothing to do with it. He was 9 years old when I was born. He was pissed because he was the baby of the family and doted on little Georgie, little Georgie, baby of the family. She made him a middle child, and he's been pissed at her since that day. You know, and I never hated him, ever, ever, even though he hit me in the arm all the time and everything. I was proud of him. Why did he hate me so much? Why? You know, to go to this crime to eliminate his sister, you know? And my mom, I'd always go, why does he hate me so much? Why? And she goes, because you took his place. He was the baby. You took his place. So, yeah, like I could help that. Like I said, that was mom and dad's fault, George. It wasn't my fault. Anyway, yeah, so they just planned on eliminating me. I don't think love ever really dies. You know, even though that's why I don't. Anyway, I think it's one of those things that continues. It may get buried deep down, but even no matter how much your parents hurt you or abuse you or whatever. I had psychiatrists and doctors say, leave this family because all they want to do is hurt you. It did, but I loved them. Even though I left, I loved them. I would never do this to them. They're diabolical. Anyway, bye.